Yeah, welcome back to Beyond Burnout, Session 5, Work-Life Balance. Just this image alone is amazing to see that our life is slipping away and maybe work is taking it from us. And they say because of the pandemic, this has been an issue. Let us not forget that we weren't just at home working, we were at home working during a crisis. There were more meetings than ever before as management was trying to adapt to the fourth industrial revolution. Analyst Richard Sutton says that to advance where we are would have taken 10 years. We did it in a year and a few months. And I think we did really well. But as we know, change is really stressful. The pandemic was stressful. Some people said it was worse than World War II, because at least with World War II, you knew the enemies were coming, the sirens were, raiding. But here with the pandemic, your granddaughter could bring it home to you. Leadership relied on professionals and mental health champions within the organization to help offer sessions, because employees who work under great leaders tend to be happier, more productive, more connected to the organization, which then has a ripple effect that reaches the business's bottom line. Let's take a moment just to breathe. Take a breath. Breathing. Yes, we've been through a lot. Work-life balance, is that a four-letter word for you? What people say, I don't believe in work-life balance. It's a catchphrase, I guess. Reminds me of the seesaw. Khalil Gibran said that work is love made visible. And sometimes you can love your job so much that it doesn't feel like work. But for the majority of us, it becomes a great source of stress. Do you feel like you have work-life balance? Is it a bit blurry? If you don't have work-life balance, why? The most important thing that everybody says is family. Family. They say it's the most important thing because they're part of our life in the work-life balance. And of course, we owe it to our families to be there for them. And if our work is hurting us, and we are absent from our family, then we start to suffer from burnout, and we have to do something about that. My father suffered from burnout. In the 1980s, he was national and sales marketing manager for General Electric. Not bad. But he worked until burnout, and he was retrenched because of burnout and depression. And then he died from suicide, which started with burnout. He gave his life to his company. He gave his life to his family, but he had nothing left for himself. And that's the lesson I learned, is that health, mental health included, is the most important thing in life. Yes, family, but first comes health. Without it, we can't serve our family. If we do not make time for our wellness, we will be forced to make time for our illness. It's a sobering thought. And I've done years and years of research on this work-life balance story, and there's two things that matter. There's two things that affect work-life balance, and it's probably not what you're expecting. Number one is self-worth, and number two is boundaries. You know what the EQ definition, the pillars of EQ really for me, is around the ability to correctly perceive and take account of other people's feelings. And it's also the ability to clearly and quickly identify our own emotions and others. The four pillars are self-awareness, self-management, other awareness, and other management. So it's really important to know how we are doing first, to manage ourselves, to manage our time, our distractions, our needs, our wants, our to-do list, compared to what others want from us, and then manage that process. Most of the time we give ourselves up for everybody else's needs. You know the story of the air hostess that comes out, or the air steward who says, in the event of emergency, the oxygen mask will fall down. Put it over your face first before somebody else. But we don't. We look after our phones better than we look after ourselves. We make sure the damn things are charging. But do we? Self-compassion is learning to throw ourselves a bone of self-love, and increases our resilience and our stability. And when you have that security blanket of self-compassion, you feel like you can take more risks. You can come out of the box and be more creative. But many of us judge ourselves by our accomplishments, and we ricochet from feelings of being great, and then we sink into despair when we fail. And our self-esteem goes up and down depending on what grade we've given ourselves. With self-compassion, you learn that if you do fail, it doesn't mean that you're a complete failure as a human being. It means you just screwed up on one thing. And if your self-worth is low, you'll always try hard to prove to others that our always-on behavior is a form of needing self-recognition. It's the need to be appreciated by others. People who love themselves or have more self-compassion find it easier to apologize and admit they've done something wrong when they made a mistake. Their sense of self-respect isn't threatened because they don't intrinsically think of themselves as a bad person or a failure. There's nothing to defend. And if someone doesn't have self-compassion, they're going to get furious. They are the ones that are going to get angry. Especially if you point out their mistakes or an error, because it just stokes up their feelings of not being good enough. As a managing director of an advertising company for 5 years, I realized that I was kinder to other people more than I am to myself. And I was even looking after my pot plant better than what I was looking after myself. And now I just don't have to prove anything to anyone. I am enough. I am enough. You are enough. But due to certain paradigms of society, many times we think that to know that we are enough, someone else must tell us, and that's when we need those affirmations, those positive affirmations, and by others. But I guess the truth at the end of the day is that no one can make us feel that we are well and that we meet expectations, because this must come from the depths of our being. And assuming that we are enough to achieve everything we want and accepting ourselves as we are will be the key to achieving our stability and our sanity, our happiness, our inner peace. And this will lead us to have really, really excellent relationships with people around us and achieve our life's goals. Self-worth. Self-worth, number one. Work-life balance. That's why this is so important. When our mind hears this statement of truth, your perspective on it then changes completely, because you know it's true. You know it's true. You are enough. You are enough, and it changes. It changes with how unconscious analyzes it, and how does it make you feel? The statement, "You are enough. I am enough." It's a declaration, isn't it? It's a declaration of independence. Totally. It's your human right. It's your self-worth, helping you to improve your self-esteem and your self-love. So I guess the big question is, in work-life balance, those 2 points, self-worth and boundaries. Number one, how do we grow self-worth? We have to practice self-worth. So join me in a practice now. Click on, we're going to do the self-worth practice, and it's going to be great. See you there.